And welcome back to Law and Crime, everybody. Right now, we want to talk about the Harvey Weinstein sex crimes trial out here in New York City. Jury deliberations will begin tomorrow. There's a lot to break down, and I want to bring in a familiar face. I've seen him almost every day in the courtroom. Harvey Weinstein's publicist and friend, as you've claimed, as you've said in open forum. Juda Engelmayer is with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
So I'm going to ask you the million-dollar question.
Go right ahead.
How is Mr. Weinstein, how is his team feeling going after this long 3-day weekend into now jury deliberations beginning tomorrow? What's the feeling?
So, I mean, how is he feeling? I'll break it down. He's feeling a little anxious. He's happy with the way his lawyers performed and thinks the arguments are cogent on our side. But as anybody would expect, you never know how a jury is going to come back, and he's a little anxious and worried. He's starting to realize that the time is ticking right now.
You said worry. Is there something about the prosecution's closing? Because again, it was strange. The defense went first, then the prosecution. Don't see that in every case. The prosecution got the last word. Was there something that worried him about Prosecutor Luzzi's comments?
So no, what worried us is the way the comments came about. They're the last word, like you said, and they have 3 days to stew on it. So the last thing they hear when they go back into the courtroom on Tuesday morning is going to be what Mr. Luzzi said, and that's the problem. Is that the balance there? You know, we expected, we would have hoped that they would go deliberations right away, or we both do our closing arguments the same day, because as you know, this is being argued in the press as well. And to say that the jurors aren't reading newspapers and watching TV is utopian. You know, I don't know if that's true or not. But if you read the stories continuously, the last thing you've been hearing since Friday has been the last word from the prosecutor, and it becomes tough for us to imagine how a jury is going to go in there and have fresh ideas.
Well, look, you know, the thing that came about during the closing is the prosecution was basically saying to the defense that jury, they're asking you to not believe 6 women, and 6 women come forward, and the idea that these women came forward because of they had a financial incentive to do it, because they want to be part of a movement, because maybe their memories were changed. I mean, can you speak about that in terms of not believing 6 women who testified that they're all either liars or mistaken?
So let me actually dial it back a little bit. You have to believe 2 women. That's what this case comes down to. If you don't believe Jessica Mann, you don't get to Annabelle Shore. If you don't believe Mimi Haley, you don't get to Annabelle Shoria. The other witnesses were Molyneux witnesses, as we know, which are I guess similar crimes, prior bad acts, and the jury can consider them if they believe the first 2 complaining witnesses. If they don't believe those complaining witnesses, then they don't have to consider that. That's the point. What you're saying is, should the jury believe 6 women or not? That's the issue we're confronting. The prosecution's case was an emotional case. It's appealing to the emotions, appealing to the movement, appealing to what you've been reading for the past 2 years about Harvey Weinstein. Our case is going to the facts and the details, and on the facts and details, we have that on our side. The jury's, if the jury is going to play to the emotional, the emotional cues, then that worries us a little bit.
Yeah, as Donna Rotuno said, you know, she hopes that the jurors take each case or each account separately and consider that. It's a separate question if they'll really do that. If your client, if Harvey Weinstein, your friend, if he's acquitted, obviously you know what the outpouring is going to be. There's going to be people who say this is injustice. There are people who are going to say that it wasn't a fair trial. There are going to be people who say there's over 80 accusers. He's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. What is your response going to be that day if he's ultimately acquitted across the board to everything that comes out? So
if he's guilty, show me what he's guilty of. 87 accusers doesn't mean 87 convictions, and that's what people have to realize. He's been accused. No one has come with hard evidence about anything, and this comes down to a he said, she said, more of a she said. And if he's acquitted that day, there will be rallying cry. There will be angry people out there, and that's what our fear is that these jurors are thinking about right now while they're sitting with their families. Are they going to be able to listen to the evidence, determine in their mind logically that there's no crime been committed, but are they going to be able to be the ones to let him go? Because eventually the jurors' names will be out there one way or another, not by us. Jurors talk when they're on this trial like that. There's little chance that we think they're going to keep quiet. Some of them will go out and want to promote themselves for sure, they're going to have to go home and look at their children in the eyes, look at their wives, look at their daughters, look at their friends at work, and say, I'm the one who let him go. And that becomes a tough issue. So we don't know how to go. We don't know what is going to come. But if he's acquitted, we'll be very happy.
Will we hear a response if he's acquitted from Harvey Weinstein? You had mentioned that it wasn't the right forum for him to come forward and testify. Will the right forum be if he's acquitted? Will he be outside the court giving a statement?
That's a very good question, and the answer to that is going to be we have to look and see, depending on how the LA case looks as well, to be fair.
But does he want to tell his story?
Harvey's been wanting to tell his story for a long time, to get out there and talk about what he knows about what went on, what he knows about the experiences. The problem that we have is in a courtroom setting to have him talk would have opened the door to several other potential witnesses by the prosecution, to a rebuttal, to a more firm rebuttal by him, and to grilling. And that, we didn't think that their case rose to that level.
You talk about the courtroom. There's a lot of different people to talk about. I want to talk about the judge.
Sure.
Do you think the Judge James Burke, do you think he's been fair to your side?
So I think Judge Burke has made a mental decision that in the end, if Harvey gets acquitted, he doesn't want to be accused of doing anything he could to have helped that. So he has been, I believe, as difficult as possible on this case. He has allowed the prosecution to run roughshod over some of the laws, including the Brady evidence, where we have a witness testify, and the next day they give us Brady evidence that could potentially or did impeach the witness, but the judge wouldn't throw out the testimony or allow us to follow up on that. He just slapped her on the wrist. We believe with the way the judge is going to read the jury their instructions, it's a little bit skewed as well. And I'm not going to get into those details. You'll hear it on Tuesday. But throughout this entire case, whether or not it's been when you heard protest outside and someone's yelling, "Harvey, you're the rapist," the judge says, "Oh, no one heard it in the courtroom," when everyone heard it in the courtroom. There's been so much bias, and the judge has patently ignored it. We have someone accepted on the jury who wrote a book on, or has a book coming out in August about predatory men and young girls, and the judge allowed her on the jury. Didn't care. We think there are several aspects that are opening this judge up to an appeal if necessary, but he's also going to be reappointed by then, and I think he's looking at that, saying if he's convicted and there's an appeal, he will already have his new term already. Doesn't affect him.
Yeah, I don't see 1 minute that's wasted by his team,
right.
Harvey Weinstein's team, picking out these issues, putting it on the record. You said that he's happy with his team. He had a shakeup. He had 3 different legal teams.
Right.
He's happy with Damon Sharonis, Arthur Idala, Donna Rotuno, and the rest of the team?
He's quite happy, and if you watch their performance, what they did was just unthinkable. They surgically knocked down every piece of evidence, every witness, and really raised reasonable doubt. And talk about the other teams, they say Thomas Edison found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. No, he never failed. I think Harvey Weinstein had to put teams together until he found the one that fit.
He called Donna Rotuno's speech the Queen's speech. What was he thinking at that point?
His movie, The King's Speech, and what he was looking for was a nice comment to say that she did a good job.
And you know what's interesting about this case is, as we listen to it, it brings a lot of different people there.
Right.
I have to ask you, I saw Jussie Smollett's attorney, Tina Glandian, there. Why was she there?
In the legal circles Harvey travels around in, he has lots of friends. And among them, Tina works for somebody who's a friend of his. And
that's all. She's not advising. She's just there to support him.
Not advising, just there to support. She's not on the legal team. Not advising. Nothing like that.
Has he been getting support outside of the people that we see in the courtroom? Because there's a level of support on one side from the prosecution, and then you see people on the left side.
Right.
Has he been getting support outside of the courtroom? I know he can't use his phone in the courtroom, but when he comes out, is he getting support?
You'd be surprised that there are a lot of people out there who support Harvey, talk to him privately on the phone, text him, email him, and call him. The problem is some of these people are well-known names, and if they come out public that they're supporting Harvey, they become targets for a social media onslaught of people who think, how dare you friends with Harvey.
I know I asked you this at a public press conference, but you didn't know me now. Now you know me. Let me ask you the question. If he's acquitted, okay, he's acquitted in New York, obviously the LA case is separate. Does he have plans after this? Does he have an intention to try to move on with a career, to start something over, then deal with the LA case? Has he gone that far?
Well, we don't have the choice of when to deal with the LA case. We have to deal with the LA case when it hits us. I don't know when that's going to be. That could be immediately. They could give us a few days leeway. We don't know that. But what his plan is, first of all, he's a very talented person, and he's very committed to the work that he used to do, and he loves doing it. But what he wants to do is really focus now on charity work and philanthropy, and he wants to do this part of his life devoting to causes that people can be proud of, and not so much the film industry anymore.
All right, Juda Engelmayer, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. We'll see what happens this week. The jury has till March 6th, but we'll wait and see. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, everybody, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more.